Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Why Getting Speakers Booked. I went into another thing, but I'm super excited. This is a podcast all about for speakers by speakers, just talking about all of our experiences when it comes to speaking, getting on stages, and of course, just making sure we're leaving the biggest impact. So today I'm super excited to have a guest who will be joining me on a stage come this December in Orlando, Florida. So Dr. Deepak, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Macy. It was so awesome to hear from you. And when I figured out the commonality that we both presenting at the same venue, I said, "Hey, great! Now one more friendly phrase when I arrive in Orlando." So thanks for having me.
No, of course. So you're not here in Orlando, you're in Texas, but I mean it's not too far in the grand scheme of things. But I'm really excited for us to share the stage because this is going to be a really amazing and big event. And we'll talk about that more later. But first, why don't we talk a little bit about all of your amazing accomplishments and how did you really get into speaking as a whole and how did speaking start to become part of what you do on a daily basis?
That's such a brilliant question. You know, Macy, what is really amazing is for the first 4 years of my life, my mom actually thought I had a hearing deficiency or speaking deficiency because I was not communicating a lot. So she took me to a doctor, and the doctor actually told nothing wrong with this guy. He's just different. He just likes to act to behave in a certain way. So after 4 years, when my mom saw me maturing and growing up, she always used to think that this guy is never going to be an outgoing, confident individual per se, right? Two, I actually have a speech defect. If you listen very carefully, I've worked very hard on it. I've actually gone and got speech coaches to help me. And one thing that I actually realized is that it's not that it holds me back, it just makes me different. And me embracing that reality was very important for me. And I'm calling it out because there are a lot of people who think that to be a great speaker, you need to have a certain form, you need to have a certain look, you need to have a certain. I don't think so. You need to speak from the heart, is what I would argue, right? If your message resonates, then you can be on a wheelchair. You will still make sense to the world. So for me, that was a very powerful discovery that confidence doesn't come from how you look from outside. Confidence comes from what you feel inside. So that's how I felt that I have a message. I've got 30 years of work experience, Macy, and in that journey, I have met, I would say, about nearly 1,500 salespeople that I have coached along the way and worked in sales, right? So my specialty is working with salespeople, but I'm also an ICF coach. So when you are coaching people, you hear very inner, deeper secrets coming out. So your temperament has to change. You start to actually understand that you're something very small in a bigger ecosystem of things, right? Because emotions can be so complicated. So from that, I actually realized that the work I do gives me an opportunity to become better and understanding humanity, but also gives me an opportunity to share with you and the world, Macy, what I'm seeing and observing. Because sometimes the benefit I've had because of the work I've done is that I've seen things in a different lens. And my opportunity as a speaker is to share it, position it in a way that people are sitting down there looking up at me can actually feel what have I been doing. It's like, listening to someone who's gone to space and he tells you in such vivid ways what he felt looking outside into this blue, a shade of blue that you have never seen. That's powerful, right? So sometimes I feel that it's an opportunity given to me based on the work that I do, that I should share back with people what I'm experiencing so that people just make this planet a better place to live on, Macy, right? Let's share, let's discuss, let's talk, let's share perspectives that you're not used to listening to. That's my motivation for speaking, is to give people an opportunity to hear my perspective, not because I want followers, but because I really want people to genuinely get some insights from me that can have a life-changing impact on them potentially. I'm not saying that's an ego thing, but I think that if you listen carefully, it can be a lot of fun learning from other people.
No, absolutely. I loved so much of what you said. So first off, obviously, that there's sometimes people think that there's an image when it comes to a speaker, but I think nowadays there are so many amazing figures out there. I mean, one speaker I remember, I'm blanking on his name so bad, and I don't know why. I believe it was Nick something. I watched him all the time when I was a kid. It's the gentleman with no arms and no legs.
It is
right?
Nick. It is Nick. It is Nick.
I'm blanking
Nick,
on the last
Polish
name.
surname, very
Yeah,
Polish.
I think something like that. Yeah. So I remember that he was one of the first speakers that when he would share his stories, and he mostly spoke, at least at the time of what I saw, to elementary school, to high school, to middle school, and I was in that age range. So listening to him,
Correct.
I obviously can't necessarily relate to the physical stories that he's sharing, but you can relate to the emotional part. And I think that's what, like you were mentioning, the heart. That's what people want to see. And I've talked to so many speakers, they're like, I don't want to get specific, I don't want to get niche about it. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't. It's a specific instance that's specific to you, but it's a universal emotion. And that's what's the most important part when it comes to speaking.
I would agree. I would agree. With that.
So there's so many amazing things that you've accomplished in your life that I think a lot of people can't relate to in the best way possible. That all being said, speaking has become sort of, you were telling me, a bigger avenue for you now, especially, you know, we're going to Goal Achievers in December, which is going to have 1,000 people in attendance, which is going to be amazing. Tell me a little bit about how you realized that, hey, I speaking from the stage is a great way to build my business.
You're going to laugh when I give that answer. I was in the corporate world for 30 years, right, Macy? Mm-hmm. And when I used to do a cold call, or if I reach out to a customer and I would say, hi, this is Deepak from HP, I would always get the call answered. And I used to think it's because Deepak was in that sentence. It's not. It was because HP or Sun Microsystems or Oracle was in that sentence, right? So I became my own entrepreneur. And the first realization was that if you don't have a persona of your own, or an aura around your name, and you're now trying to build your own business out, here's a lesson to every person that's going to listen into this podcast, Macy. If you ever want to get into business for yourself, ask yourself a simple question. What actions are you doing today that create your own credibility, your own persona, and detach it from the corporate world persona that you have? Because when you're an entrepreneur, you are your army, you are your cavalry. There is no one else to turn back to get help from. But in the corporate world, I had all that help, right? I would say I was disjointed for a couple of days. People were not returning my calls. I did not know what was going on. I then stepped back and asked myself, what's missing? What was missing was people don't know me anymore. Because previously my persona was completed by my company, but now it's me. So you need to get your message out. And this is what I would tell people. Your personal brand needs to be built out very aggressively when you're an entrepreneur. And as a speaker, right, people need to know why are they going to come to listen to you. And if they don't know about you, if they cannot find you online, then they're going to ask, what exactly is this person? Who is this person, right? So for me, that was the biggest revelation. So Macy, I also realized that when I started my journey of creating a personality or a persona, I didn't say I want to go speak. That just was a natural outcome of it. What all my simple goal was, most of my ICP or my customers live on LinkedIn. So I said, well, how do I improve my LinkedIn profile? So I actually got a coach and I asked him a simple question, what do I need to do? And he said, hey, look, let's help you with the banner. Let's streamline this, streamline this, streamline this. In fact, I got so good at it, Macy, because I'm a great learner. Because remember, I'm learning not for the sake of passing an exam, I'm learning for the sake of survival. When you're an entrepreneur, and 90% of entrepreneurs fail, not because they didn't have the ambition, but because they ran out of money. And this is a reality, right? So how do you shore yourself up? So I worked to the point where I just wrote a book on LinkedIn as a brand. So in 1 year, you go from not knowing what to do with LinkedIn to not just knowing what to do with LinkedIn, and that happens because of practice and commitment. So I built my LinkedIn persona out. I started posting regularly. I started building out. I started commenting on other people's posts. And then I started watching the flywheel effect. As you create that, 80% of my revenue comes from LinkedIn. But I also started getting outreach from people. And then out of the blue, I got the first outreach. Hey, I have a podcast. Would you like to come as a guest? I said, absolutely. And I went to the podcast and I had a blast of a time. And during the podcast, my dog came into my room, started yapping and jumping up and down. And the poor guy had to edit everything. But it worked, Macy. And then I went on to, in the last 13 months, Macy, I've been on 13 podcasts. It's an unlucky number. You're number 14, Macy. So there you go. You just broke the jinx, right?
I fixed
now,
it for you.
Was it a plan? Did I know that I would do 14? No. And that's the message I would give to everyone. Don't try to over-plan, over-engineer everything. You start at a certain point, but just keep the rhythm, keep the motion, keep working on that basis.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a great answer. It kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, you were able to develop your brand voice. People knew when they were reading your post, they were reading it from you. They knew what they were getting from you, and they knew why they wanted to keep coming back, which is really important to distinguish yourself on social media. There's so many people out there. There's so many people in your
So
field,
much noise,
in your
absolutely.
niche. There's, like, you could think that you're the most niche down person you'll ever think. and then you're going to find at least 5 more people on LinkedIn who do that. It's just how it works nowadays. And so you really, like you mentioned, like you have to stand out in that crowd. You have to do something. And when we say different, we are obviously not talking about making up stories. We're not talking about things that are just don't make sense. We're obviously talking about your learned experience, because that's what things like, AI can't take from us, is like, this is my specific experience. This is why I know this knowledge. It's not because I Googled it and I got it. It's because I lived it. I was there. I was in that room. I realized I changed my thinking. I didn't change my thinking. This is what happened. So that's really, really important. I do want to spend a few minutes kind of talking about this event here in December, which is really exciting. So can you share a little bit about what is Goal Achiever Summit, when is it, and who should be in attendance?
So anyone who is planning out 2026, right? And remember, each and every one of us most likely signed up a gym membership, woke up on 1st of January and says, I am going to be the Adonis, I am going to be the muscle, I'm going to run a mile in less than 3 minutes or whatever. Typically by mid-March, we give up those memberships because resolution fails us. So when I was approached by the Goal Achievers Summit team members and they were talking about goal setting and goal achieving, I was like, yes, because I want to talk to a group of people that consider themselves achievers. Forget the word overachievers, just achievers for now. And how can we give them frameworks that allow them to actually figure out a way to structure their ambition into workable project management type steps, right? Because at the end of the day, my son, when he was little, used to ask me a question, Dad, how do you eat an elephant? And I used to give him these complex answers until he told me bit by bit. Macy, I just want you to stand back a second and just think about the profoundness that you can get from a little child, because children's curiosity doesn't allow them to, glorify things. They get down to the basic stuff. How do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant bit by bit, Dad. And I'm like, oh, how do you put an elephant in a refrigerator? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Open the door and put the elephant inside. I'm like, that's when I realized simplicity, logic. We as adults tend to overcomplicate things. So when you're trying to get to a goal, how do you complete a goal? Bit by bit. How do you do the bit by bit? You just do the basics. Wash, rinse, repeat, basics, and hold yourself accountable. So my conversation that I have designed is, Macy, very simple. I am from the sales domain. I work with some of the smartest, hyper achievers, extremely motivated by dinero, money, and typically make, I kid you not when I say this, Macy, the average enterprise salesperson in US makes 3 to 4x minimum of what the average American makes. That's a minimum. It's higher, right?
Yeah.
Now the question is, those people have a certain dynamic. What is that dynamic? So when people talk about goal achievement, they go to traditional books, right? Oh, how to break this into 5 pieces. I said, no. So I developed what I call the Achieve framework. Achieve, 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 the word achieve. There you are, 7 letters that are now going to allow me to present a framework in Orlando on December 29th and 30th, where I'm going to tell you the 7 things that I've learned from sales people and how they go about. Because remember, Macy, in sales, if you have to deliver a response to a customer and you have to deliver 5 of them on Monday morning, you deliver all 5 on Monday morning. No one says to you, let's get an extension, because that's just not how sales works. Right. Sales is absolutely focused on deadlines driven by deliverables. Now the question comes, what do normal human beings do? They look for excuses always, right? Oh, I have 5 things to do at the same time. I need to negotiate. Mom, Dad, I can't do this. Stop. Salespeople can't negotiate with mom and dad. They're negotiating with someone that is working with their competition also. So how do you therefore now go? You can't go to tell someone that I can't do it, but they tell you others can. How are you going to operate? I'm bringing that to Orlando. So I'm bringing to Orlando a completely unique, built from scratch framework, which goes and looks at what top rock star salespeople do and build it out. And I'm actually basing it, and in fact, just between you and me, Macy, but anyway, everyone can hear it now, is that Sander has also taken that framework and they're going to be generating a white paper on it. So it's going to also become a Sandler framework going forward. And I would love to have that, everything done in place so that I can actually distribute a physical copy of the Sandler framework at the session itself while I present about it. And then the dream is, Macy, to actually take that and launch it as a paid option to people to come, build credibility for myself. I'd like to offer that as a paid course, as a online or as a cohort to people, so that broader people can get access to this framework and technique. And that was the thought process that, let's test it out in Orlando. Let's get 1,000 people excited about it, and then let's monetize it and take it forward from there.
Yeah. No, this is amazing, and we're coming up on time, but I want to say, I feel like it would be appropriate to say that the Goal Achiever Summit isn't necessarily for your average conference where it's, hey, let's go set a few goals and we're going to do great. It's specifically for those entrepreneurs who they've either achieved some great success in the past, but maybe they haven't been able to keep it up, or they've achieved some great success and they want to keep it going, or maybe you're a new entrepreneur and you know that you're about to achieve something great, but you just need to make sure that you have that accountability and you're able to achieve it. So that's definitely what I want to mention. Is it sounds like everyone in that room is going to get so much value. I'm going to be there, so I'm there. Obviously, I'm going to get some value. I'm excited. I'm getting super hyped about this. So thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to break your unlucky 13 and be the 14th podcast you've done.
Yes.
I appreciate this time so much. And to everyone out there who's listening, we hope to see you in Orlando on December 29th and 30th, I believe. I'll have some more information in the chat, but reach out to either Dr. Deepak or I if you're interested in actually attending. And quick, before we let go, if you're a speaker and you just want to get started with some community and get to know other speakers, join our Facebook group in the description. It's just a great community for like-minded speakers who want to help each other. So thank you so much. I appreciate the time. We'll talk soon.
My pleasure, Macy. And I'm going to sign up to that Facebook group you just spoke about. So send me the link first.
Bye-bye,
everyone. Thank you.